All right, coming up on today's episode, we're going to be talking about Fidelity, rolling out some crypto stuff. Tether is all over the place. Decred is turning over all of its funds to investors. There's some serious drama at Cardano. We're going to go over some Ethereum Classic D-apps. We're going to talk about the D. And we're going to go around the world with a business that is giving us a little bit of a reality check here on the Crypto Basic Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of the Crypto Basic Podcast. My name is Michael Aki, and I'll be joined today with Brent Philbin.
Hey, what's up?
And that's going to be it. It's just us today. Kareem is on vacation. He is exploring tall trees in California or something along those lines. Best of travels to him.
Do they have tall trees there?
Yeah, they're called redwoods. You should check them out sometime.
I got to get to California first. That's really far. I go as far as Denver, and that's it.
For those of you that are unfamiliar with the Friday Flagship, this is our weekly discussion where we talk about news, current events, and all the nonsense that gets tossed around in the cryptocurrency space. So, Brent, last weekend, you went on a little adventure. I wished I could have joined you, but didn't work out. What did you do?
Okay, so we went to a blockchain conference, or I did. I went to a blockchain conference. So I get an email about somebody who wants to be interviewed on the podcast. I said, and I will still interview this person despite what I'm about to say if they haven't actually picked a date. But they wanted an interview, and I noticed that they had a blockchain conference in Miami, and we all live in Florida. So I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll ask for tickets to this blockchain conference, and then that'll be like our compensation for the interview, right? Well, they gave us the tickets. Even though they didn't actually give them to us until like the day of. It was like I had to go back and forth doing a lot of emailing, trying to figure out if we were even getting these tickets because we hadn't done the interview, and like there were no tickets. So Mike couldn't go, Kareem couldn't go. So the first blockchain conference ever attended by the Crypto Basic Podcast was attended by me and somebody who knows absolutely nothing about crypto, but is a good networker. So we went, paid for parking, and it was
How
like,
much did you pay for parking, Brad?
$20.
$20 for parking. It is Miami, though. What part of Miami was it in?
It was at the Wynwood Mana Convention Center.
That's a pretty nice place, right?
Yeah, I've been to a music festival there, and it is pretty nice. And it was set up like everything looked nice, but you know, I don't want to shit all over somebody's dream if this is like their cool little like blockchain conference or whatever. But I didn't look at the list of people who were talking before I went there. I didn't recognize any of them. And then when we got there, I'm like, there'll be booths by like Binance or whatever. No, nothing. I didn't recognize the only booth, and I walked around all of them that I recognized was Cohen & Co. They are the custodians for the True USD. That's the only thing that I recognized, and there was nobody at their booth. It's the only one that I wanted to interact with. All the rest of them seemed like they were kind of like, you know, projects that maybe I should care about, but it just wasn't. It was not impressive at all. So I went and watched the Women in Blockchain presentation because it was presented by IBM. So it was the only company I'd ever heard of, and it wasn't particularly informative. It was a panel. The audience wasn't really into it, I guess, either. Charlie fell asleep next to me, so. We didn't stay too long. We went.
All right. Quick question for you. Since you revealed his name of the person that went with you.
Oh yeah,
you said earlier in the discussion that he didn't know a lot going in. What was his opinion on the quality of speakers, or at least if they weren't good, like entertaining speakers or engaging speakers? Was there at least any relevant info? I'm sure there was plenty of relevant. Was there anything that you or him were like, oh, that's interesting, or okay, that's something?
He got a water bottle. So we went to a couple of different booths and like checked out what they were about. And there was like a lawyer that had nothing to do with cryptocurrency. They were just a lawyer that was at this conference. That we went to. There was the big conference sponsor was like a cryptocurrency hedge fund. So we tried to check that out. They, I never got really talked to anybody. So the whole time, Charlie didn't clearly like the speakers because he fell asleep. But he was like, "Look, we're here. Like, let's go talk to these booths. Let's talk to these people." And eventually,
okay, so I'm going to stop you there. So based on the story you've told so far, I'm surprised that you didn't take it upon yourself to just go on a grand adventure through these vendors and just to entertain yourself, if nothing else, to just like maybe find a shitcoin in there that like you could actually shit on, like to amuse yourself. I feel like that's something you would do.
100% what I should have done. What ended up happening was I was so disappointed by everything I was seeing. I was like, this is a blockchain conference, that I was like, look, let's go eat. There was I found a sweet little place that was like around the corner. I'm like, we're gonna go there, we're gonna eat, and then we're gonna go back.
The Yelp reviews.
I didn't check Yelp. It's Google.
Come on.
Google now, because Yelp you can pay to get rid of bad reviews. So I always check Google, and it was just like a 4.7. They had the best fried rice I've ever had anywhere.
Wow.
It was really good. It was called KYU, and it was great. And so we went there, we went back, and I don't know if like everybody came there at night or something. This is like noon, 12:30, but it was just dead. And so eventually I was like, all right, well, there's nobody here. There's nothing I'm interested in seeing. I didn't think about the angle of going around and just like trying to find somebody to like shit all over. I should have done that. And instead, we walked away with a water bottle. So that was it's kind of a bust.
No, I understand where you're coming from too, especially when, we want to make progress on the podcast. We want to make progress in this industry. We got in this because we care and we want to see the future grow and we want to see it organically kind of develop. And, this was an opportunity for you to be like, ooh, let's see how far we've come. And you're given another reminder, like how much time we really have for mass adoption, in my opinion.
Yeah. Or I'm given a reminder of like a remnant of the like moon day, the moon period back in January, where this conference it was $2,000 to go to this conference, like on their website. It was
all right. I've mentioned a similar concept before, and I think it applies here. Like the idea of what it would organizationally take to organize a blockchain conference to get relevant people of status in the community. To me, it sounds like such a huge undertaking that I feel like it's very easy for relevant people to mess this up. And if this was their first conference, I don't know if this was something they do regularly or what, but if it were an early on, conference, then unfortunately, I feel like most of them are probably going to be bust the first one or two that they organize while trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that the next one that we go to is better. One thing that I did decide after watching about 3 or 4 of the speakers is that I need to be sending a resume to these conferences and saying, hey, I'll come speak. Because
that's the exact point I was trying to make earlier. And is that one of the reasons I think that we are successful is that we're just decent communicators. We don't mind going off the handles. We don't mind getting off topic. We don't mind communicating whatever it is that we feel like communicating. And because we've done that with each other for so long that, we have a rapport that is often difficult for an audience to be able to look in on. And, if they have speakers that are not engaging and not entertaining, then yeah, like Charlie didn't go there planning to go to sleep. I bet he was really embarrassed that he did that. And, it's not a big deal, like, but the fact is you can't run that risk if you're charging $2,000 a ticket that you're boring people to death. Like I pay somebody else to speak that's entertaining. Like it can't be that much.
Yeah.
I'll sit in as a proxy for any of these people for a very reasonable amount of money.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't really know how to get involved in the speaking circuit, so to speak, but I promise you, people would not have been falling asleep when I was talking.
There's a huge need for that. There really is.
Yeah. So,
and with the growing podcast industry, I believe that the long form debate, long form communication is going to continue to grow and gain more respect over time. And these conferences, I bet, are going to be continuing to pop up in greater numbers on a variety of topics, not just cryptocurrency, but other things as well.
Yeah. So, hey, if you're out there and you know of a conference, just try me out. Try me out. I think, or us, all of us will come. Like we can even get Kareem, I bet.
You guys were working with Charlie on trying to do some presentations in crypto, right? Well, what ended up happening with that?
Crypto crashed. We did one presentation, or we didn't even do it. We we were going to do it. Everything was ready, but nobody had signed up for it. And then the day that it was supposed to be, like 8 people showed up, even though they didn't sign up. So it was like, maybe we should have had that going through. But then crypto tanked and nobody was interested anymore. The website's down. I think it was called the DCI exchange, but hey,
well, maybe that can come back at a later point. You guys got a little more experience on what the competition looks like. We haven't even got out of the announcement section yet.
Yeah.
So apparently the Nano Ledger's on sale.
Yeah, I noticed this when I was on Reddit. This is kind of self-serving because I think we still get a kickback if you click our link, but the Ledger Nano is 20% off, and I've never actually seen it on sale. So that's it makes it $80 instead of $100, I guess, plus whatever the shipping is. So if you're still thinking about buying a Ledger Nano, I think it was a total of 6 days it was on sale. Use our link. It's in the show notes. It's a little picture on the website. It's like the only thing we've ever gotten money out of for the podcast. So go ahead and go down there and check it out.
Wait, I thought we didn't get the money yet because we had to sell like 10 of them before they pay.
Well, okay. It's the only thing that, in theory, once enough people buy it, we'll get money from. We
haven't got the money yet. We have some credits with Ledger that hopefully will be a gift card someday or something.
Yeah, they give it to you in Bitcoin once you get enough. They're doing it right. Yeah. So ideally, we get it when the market's down, because then we get more Bitcoin.
All right, let's head over to the news section. I found a little article discussing how Fidelity is getting more heavily involved in crypto.
I want to stop you real quick. This fucking article, if you look at the top posts of the week for like the different Reddits, I must have seen this article minimum 8 times. Between the different, it was just the top of every subreddit. It was all over the place. But continue. This is a ridiculous. There was so much.
Okay, so I don't have my Reddit as organized as yours. I don't follow at quite as many crypto projects, probably, or just different crypto communities. It was actually interesting. I found a second article on this that brought up something like kind of interesting. It's separate though, but we're going to get to that. So this was dropped off in our flagship suggestions category in our Discord server. You can join the Discord in the show notes. The Big Kahuna dropped this off, a regular contributor of ours. We appreciate it. And the title was Fidelity Rolls Out Crypto Company. And this is interesting. The subtitle tilted me pretty hard. And it says, crypto's latest step out of the depths of subreddits and into the spotlight of big finance. Like, that makes me cringe, man. Like, who cares?
They were
you don't need to, like, if people are reading this for the first time because they see the name Fidelity, they don't want, like, I don't want them to think that all crypto users are like internet trolls. Like, that's really ridiculous thing to say.
I agree, but also it was on the top of every subreddit. So they're not wrong.
Maybe that was a marketing ploy that I wasn't ready for. That seems like a reasonable tilt there. But anyway, let's get to actual article. Fidelity is creating a separate company that's going to work in conjunction with Fidelity, and it's going to be Fidelity Digital Asset Services, FDAS. The intentions are to primarily be the custody for digital assets, starting off with Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're going to be able to buy, sell, and hold it for people such as hedge funds, family offices, and institutions. Your thoughts, Brian?
Well, first, one thing I thought was cool is they're calling it the block.
See, I never noticed that. What is, like, that's just the title of the business?
Yeah, they're going to refer to that arm as the block.
That's a really interesting, like, abbreviation of a popular word. Like, that, there's not many that usually they try to initial them or something to make like an acronym. That's kind of an interesting way to market it.
And also, it's got a special place in my heart because there's this area of Baltimore that they basically do not give a shit what happens. Like, it's like an unofficial red light district, like if you've ever seen The Wire, they did this thing called Hamsterdam in The Wire where crime is legal. And it's almost basically a real thing. It's an area called the Block in Baltimore. And if you go there, there's just like anything goes. It's kind of crazy. So anyway, random throwback to the Block there in Baltimore. And that I like it. It's a cool name.
I'm fascinated by that story because the idea of anything going sounds really funny to make you a part of, but at the same time, it's really intimidating. I feel like the fact that anything goes would be a big reason for you not to go.
Yeah. The fact that anything goes in West Baltimore was definitely intimidating.
Right.
I would not go there without a guide.
Or I thought that was something you would end up avoiding.
Yeah.
Or
I did not go to the block. I only knew about it. I did not go there.
Okay, that's interesting.
And the other interesting thing is you talked about this was good for clients of hedge funds. I think this morning or last night, they actually announced that Galaxy Digital, which is Mike Novogratz's hedge fund, it became their first client already. So
who is this guy?
Mike Novogratz, just like a billionaire, just like kind of famous dude. I don't know. Like I just know his name from finance.
I'm very unfamiliar with a lot of the rich billionaires. So, but hey, rich billionaires need their money held in custody too. So, obviously that becomes a big a win for them.
Yeah. That's exactly who they're targeting, right?
Right. So more about the actual article. There was not that much really useful info I found. The only kind of statistic type tidbit that I found, and I actually found these same numbers in another place, but I couldn't quite get the source of the info. But basically, I didn't realize that Fidelity is the 5th largest asset manager in the entire world, with a certain amount of money under management and a certain amount of institutional clients. So Brent, this is just a little game I wanted to play. What do you think the 5th largest asset manager in the world manages?
Unfortunately, know the answer because I found this. It was $72 billion. Or actually, no, wait. It was trillion, wasn't it? 7.2 trillion.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
it was $7.2 trillion, which that's a lot of money to be managing. And did you catch how many institutional clients they have?
No.
Do you have a guess off the top of your head?
I feel like that number's probably smallish. I don't know, like 100.
13,000.
Okay, just kidding. I thought you were going the other way with they all had so much money each. Whoops. Whoopsie.
Well, that's why we play the games, right? Because you never know where we're gonna go with it. So and then the other article I found that brought an interesting twist to this story was that Fidelity had mentioned that they've been keeping a close eye on Bitcoin for close to 5 years, and they've been mining Bitcoin since 2015. Which, let's just rewind 3 years, and we have a friend that worked in the traditional financial world, Pete Walsworth. We interviewed him on this show. Imagine if Pete tried to sell his company at the time on this idea, and instead of doing that, said, "You know what, guys? I don't want you to buy the Bitcoin. Let's just go get it. Let's earn it. Let's spend some money. And then even if this ends up being a bust, we'll still have the computer equipment left over. And maybe that'll be useful at some point. Let's just buy some stuff and mine it. And then we can sell it down the line. If it grows in value, great. If it doesn't, we lost the investment of the equipment." I find that particularly interesting, particularly of a client the size of Fidelity and what, they could do mining wise with not that much of their resources.
Yeah, they've had a trading desk too. I'm pretty sure you can just buy Bitcoin in your Fidelity account right now as it is. So they've been very crypto friendly, and I'm proud to be a Fidelity customer because of how they appear to be ahead of the curve, and their checking account has for the longest time been one of my favorites because no ATM fees, no overdraft fees, no nothing. It just works exactly like you would want it to work.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. We've had a lot of issues with Tether popping up in the news. It's something we've been warning listeners about for a very long time. I don't know that the end is here, but it's a lot closer than it was 2 weeks ago.
Look, we saw this in one of our Telegram chats. I can't remember who said this, but it was the best thing I'd seen about Tether so far. Tether's only fucking job is to be a dollar. And it does not do that job any longer. It does not. So this started happening about a week ago. It got real bad, I think, on Monday. But about a week ago, you noticed that the dollar and Tether were uncoupled. They were not exactly the same anymore. And the reason you knew that was because the other stable coins were staying at $1. Something like True USD or the Maker DAI were staying at $1, but Tether was at 98 cents, 97 cents. Tether flew way down. It got to 92 cents that I saw on coincap.io. And as a consequence, all of the coins that are paired with Tether on all the other exchanges got a little bit of a bump because people were clearly selling off Tether. Now, this was all from some fake news, actually. Now, that's not to defend Tether in any way. We still think it's a shit project. It is very likely that they do not have the funds. And you can check out our basic blitz on Tether or damn near any other episode where we've ever mentioned the word Tether. And just to get our thoughts on that, I tweeted out our Tether basic blitz episode on Monday just to kind of be like, oh, told you so. But there was some fake news about Binance delisting Tether. Somebody put out like a really shitty looking fake email where they were like, it was so obvious that it was fake, but the media outlets took it and ran with it and really did cause a little bit of a panic. Now, CZ actually went as far as tweeting out, first he said too much FUD, and then later he tweeted this out. He said, waiting for more people to take advantage of this arbitrage opportunity, i.e. buy more PAX or TUSD using fiat. It will bring the price back in line and increase the total supply. He was replying to somebody about like, why don't they just switch to TUSD as their main thing? And he said, we can't open a market for a stablecoin that only has $24 million market cap. So we've definitely ragged on companies like Binance for not either guaranteeing Tether or moving away from it. And it does make sense. Like if the market is still using it, and that is the one with the highest market cap, it makes it theoretically the most stable on their end. So they need to have that as the pair. But it has not recovered. It is still...
What is PAX?
I don't know. I wonder if that's another stablecoin that I don't know about.
I apologize to the PAX community in advance.
Yeah, sorry, Paxers. Anyway, Binance is not delisting Tether anytime soon. And there was some other stuff that went down with this, like Bitfinex had suspended fiat deposits last week, and that contributed to this problem. I know they lost their banking partner, and they had to switch to HSBC, but HSBC hasn't fully taken over yet, I guess. So Bitfinex suspended fiat deposits. KuCoin suspended both deposits and withdrawals of Tether. And, basically we just ended up with the market. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place here. One of the arguments for Tether is not a scam. One of the arguments that, a guy, Doug Polk, who generally says things that we agree with, he wasn't really big on Tether being a problem. He's like, look, guys, if Tether was a problem, it wouldn't trade at $1. It would trade at a different value because the market clearly believes that Tether is worth $1. Tether is no longer trading at $1. Since Monday, it has slightly recovered. When I woke up this morning, it was at 97 cents. It was at 96 cents most of the day yesterday. It is no longer trading at $1. So, do with that what you will. So that the main argument of the market still believes it's $1 is not holding true anymore. There is a risk premium on owning Tether now. So be very, very careful. And maybe your stablecoin should be Bitcoin.
All right. So I ran across something very shortly before we went on air. So I didn't have time to give it the proper, full vetting. However, this is an attachment to your story that I think is extremely interesting. Bitfinex released a blog 2 days ago. Today is Thursday. So this was Tuesday afternoon. They released a blog basically saying how we reported about how they've had banking issues and they've been switching from banks and having a lot of issues with that. Now, Bitfinex is entering full tilt poker territory. And this is the exact reason why. Their blog that they launched on Tuesday was called Improved Fiat Deposit System, a Distributed Banking Solution. Okay. Today, we're introducing a new increasing resilient fiat depositing system for sending fiat to Bitfinex. We will allow all the KYC verified users from around the world to initiate deposits in USD, British pounds, Japanese euros, and whatnot. So now they give 3 steps about how this works. A user wishing to initiate a fiat deposit in Bitfinex will create a deposit request to signal interest in completing a deposit. Someone else picks up the deposit and basically then redeposits it into Bitfinex. And that creates a ton of problems. It's just blatant money laundering, in my opinion, and just overwhelmingly not how this is going to need to work out long term.
Maybe they're doing it in some way that's not you're right. That does sound exactly like what the online poker sites are doing. What they were doing is they would just charge, some other company that made t-shirts or golf balls or whatever would take your money. And
I remember
put
distinctly getting a cash out from Full Tilt in my bank account from Golf Hut in the amount of a large amount of money for my age at the time. They would just pick random shell companies that they probably had in random islands across the world, and they would just refund your money through that and just hope nobody looked into it.
Yeah, nothing is making me any happier about Tether. Just a reminder, they still don't have a fucking audit. They have a fake audit. They have this audit that they put out and people are going to yell at me for saying fake audit, but it is not an audit. They put it out and they're like, hey, there's the Tether report. And it says right on there, this is not an audit. It was just a piece of paper that a lawyer that was already employed by them before they asked them to write this paper said, yes, they have the money on this specific day at this specific time in this specific bank account. So there's lawyers speak all over the place. They've definitely removed themselves from any liability if something goes wrong there. They have not had an official audit. Nobody knows if that money is there. And it is going to continue to be a point of problem. There are so many better options out there. When we did our Stablecoins 101 episode, basically every coin was strictly better than Tether, but Tether just happens to be the one that everybody's using.
I had one thought for Binance, and that is if there are alternate stablecoins that you'd rather use instead of Tether, then what I would do is I would create a trading pair for those stablecoins in Tether and take off the trading fees.
Yeah. I wonder if there is a Tether TUSD pair. That would be interesting. If there is that, whatever. Again, I would just love for
create it. Let's just say. So my thoughts are on a company like Binance. If you're housing stablecoins and you can't back them yourself, I think that's a pretty big liability, unless you can very comfortably trust the source they're coming from. Binance is basically, CZ is basically saying he's not taking a stance on whether or not it can be trusted. All he's saying in this tweet that we read here was that if we only have $24 million in stable coins total, that's not even on Binance. The total market cap for these stable coins is $24 million. Then we can't create markets for that. So if you want to create markets for that, you have to create a small incentive mechanism to convince people that something is better than Tether. They need to have a reason that something is an improvement in order to make a drastic switch. This is something that seems obvious to me.
Had a Charlie moment there. Yes, I agree. They need to do small little incentives that move the community away from Tether. Exchanges have this responsibility. If they're not going to guarantee this stuff, then they need to do the right thing. Like if we're not that knowledgeable, we can see from our vantage point that there is a very distinct possibility that people are going to be left on the hook. So
let's pretend that there's no issues with Tether at all. Let's just pretend that it is fine in your Binance. Why would you rather have that over other options?
Yeah.
At this point, it's strictly inferior. And the fact that there's legitimate concern through the entire, industry, that's a negative. Like that's something that is just as bad as having a bad employee. It's just making poor business decisions.
Yep, they need to fix that, and until they do, stop touching Tether. Don't leave your money in Tether. I saw one post by a user saying when he was locked out of his Binance account, Tether was crashing, all his money was in Tether. He's like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? And yeah, it's bad.
I mean, maybe it restabilizes and it ends up saving him money.
Yeah, maybe he might have panic sold, and maybe if he had enough Tether, he would have crashed it even more. You never know. He could have. The fact that he didn't have access to his Binance account may have saved the entirety of Tether.
Sure.
I wonder what the number is where Tether just like like I don't know what number it is that when it gets that low, people are just all out. But
I'm surprised it hit 90. Like, I mean, I haven't really checked it recently, but like 92 cents is pretty low for a stablecoin. All right, let's give a live look in at 11 a.m. on Thursday, Eastern Standard Time. Tether, 97 cents.
yeah, which site are you looking at?
CoinMarketCap, just because it's...
For some reason, everybody was saying CoinMarketCap was valuing it wrong. For I don't know, like maybe they fixed it.
They are, but it is what it is.
I saw people talking about seeing trades on different sites where it was trading at like 50 cents and like all this.
Well, here's the thing. There is probably not a lot of volume on a lot of these sites. So let's just pretend there's like a random like Litecoin Tether pair on a really small exchange with not a lot of volume. There's going to be buy and sell orders on both sides. And if Tether is swinging 10 cents in the negative, you could get some really good buys. I mean, if you had Tether, but don't have Tether, so you don't have this issue.
All right. Yep. Fuck Tether. We don't like it. It needs to go crawl into a hole and die and stop being a part of the crypto community. So let's move on to a coin that we have not done a 101 on, that we probably should do one on soon, called Decred.
Yes, I agree. We probably should move this up higher in our future coin recordings. It's been requested, but this article is pretty interesting because we've had some. We'll get into some foundation issues later in this episode, but Decred. I don't know if it's Decred or Decreed. I'm going to assume Decred.
There's only one E. I think it's Decred.
I like Decreed better. I don't know why. We'll save that for the rapid fire section. Decred is turning its entire treasury, which is currently valued at around $21 million, over to all the investors. This is going to be an interesting experiment, I believe. And the article kind of began with painting a narrative of 2017 being the year for fundraising of decentralized protocols. I'm not really sure where that narrative is coming from. And 2018 is emerging as empowering the investors. So that's what they're trying to lead off this article by saying. Which
I get what they're saying a little bit, because like think about all the money that ICOs raised and then like didn't do anything with. So maybe saying like the companies that do actually give back and make good on their word may be the leading companies coming out at the end of the year, or the coins. Sorry.
All right, Brett, I'm going to highlight something for you here, and I want your best attempt at pronouncing it.
Ooh, Polidia.
All right. I could see Polidia or Polidia. I'm not really sure. Maybe yours a little more than mine. But anyways, that's the name of the software that Decred they launched, and it's part of their overall decentralized model. So what is it doing exactly? Well, it uses the consensus mechanism of Decred, which is currently a split proof of work and proof of stake. And it is turning over all the governance decisions over to the proof of stake token holders. And they are able to vote on any of the proposals or operations of the protocol during the time where the vote is needed to be made. So the project lead is named. Can you get that for me, Brent?
Wow, Jake, I got that one. Yeah, Yoakum Piat.
All right, that's pretty good. Yoakum Piat. I don't know. That's pretty close. So he has a quote that honestly made me really interested in doing the 101 on this. He basically said that this software is going to be an extremely powerful tool if it is used properly for what it's capable of. But if used unwisely, it could definitely lead to a variety of problems, which is something we've thought about. And I feel like not enough crypto project leaders are willing to admit that. Like, being willing to admit that there's a chance this could fuck up makes me want to trust it more. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So the proof of stake is going to allow people to vote on the proposals. Like I said, currently it's estimated about 570,000 Decred is in that treasury. And, I believe it's going to function similar to the other treasuries we've seen. It wouldn't surprise me if this coin ends up being a fork of something we've already covered.
We haven't done the research on this. We're just talking about this article here. This may be a Dash fork. It sounds similar to Dash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like, it wouldn't shock me if this is a Pivx or a Dash fork or a Bitcoin fork or just something along those lines. They do include the model that the treasury is given a piece of each block. So the treasury is constantly growing. We've considered that as an overall pro in the past. And I'm curious to see how other ones have worked out. It'd be an interesting use case to actually go through something like Dash and Pivx and even Smart Cash and see what their proposals have been like and see if there's been some consistency long-term with that. The project lead, Jake, actually gives himself a kill switch over all the expenditures on the network, which that was the exact same reaction I had. What? However, his veto powers will be revoked within 6 to 12 months when all of the treasury funds move away from the Decreed Holdings Group LLC into the smart contract. So okay. It sounds like he does what a lot of the projects have used, and that's basically, hey, we need a kill switch for a little while just to make sure that this just doesn't fuck up too early.
Yeah, we talked with Rob about that.
Stability in the network, it's going to be a lot easier to keep afloat.
We talked with Rob about that. That was something they originally had for the Zen thought. They don't have their DAO yet, but when they were going to do it, they were going to have veto power. And we asked him about that. I was like, so he's like, look, here's our thought behind that. We didn't want them like sponsoring a UFC fight for no reason. And then all the money's gone. But I will tell you that we've already eliminated that. So that is, he...
Correct. And that's why, I tried to word that as a sense that it's a kill switch, but, these project leads understand that this is like a nuclear option that would be really bad for them. But until there's enough stability in the network, I think it's fine to have a kill switch involved.
Yeah, especially if they are set to be revoked automatically and he can't do anything about that. If that's built into the code, that's cool.
One of his quotes also, this article was with CoinDesk. He basically said that once a smart contract once it replaces the LLC as the holder of these treasury funds, there's going to be no legal target to attack with sanctions, penalties, or like lawsuits from, stakeholder backed actions. He's interested to see how this is all going to play out. Some of the other dangers that he mentioned could include internal conflicts of interest, which I think we're going to cover in the next article. Permanent commitments on money. That's what you referenced with the UFC. Like sponsoring a UFC fight could technically be a good idea to some people, but the amount of money it would cost would likely end up being a really poor decision to the rest of the community. And the other one is turning over the authority to elected officials. I don't know. I just see, without this, there's more reliance on a government and a lot of issues could come from it. I'm interested to see where this plays out.
Yeah, I'm also interested in submitting a proposal to get a little bit of Decred for a 101 episode. Full disclosure, we'll probably do it anyways, but hey, we'll take our shot where we can get it.
If you didn't see this, I'm happy you found that.
So wait, see what?
I think I just changed.
Oh, that's what that meant. I was like, what? He skipped it, so I was like, I don't know what he means.
I was hoping you'd find it organically. That was great.
Uh-huh.
All right, so in this article, they also reference a Nick Szabado tweet. He is the longtime heavy blockchain representative.
Also, probably Satoshi.
Probably Satoshi. I was going to get to that. He is one of the most respected people in the space. And I'm curious on what your thoughts on this tweet are, because I only get about half of it. But I feel like the audience would appreciate it. And his tweet is basically, blockchain governance generally comes in only 3 varieties: Lord of the Flies, which I don't really know what that means, lawyers, and ruthlessly minimized. And I'm not sure what he means by that.
Well,
so Brent,
ruthlessly minimized is like Bitcoin, right? Like they can only really, the governance is, do we fork the chain or do we not fork the chain?
yeah, there's just not much you can do with it.
Right. So that's their governance basically. Lawyers is, fucking lawyers, and
Self-explanatory.
Lord of the Flies is like basically like a complete anarchy island that's every man for himself and everybody's killing everybody and
So like seasteading?
I guess. I don't know. So chaos is implied in Lord of the Flies. So
Gotcha.
I would not expect Satoshi to be too happy about on-chain governance. So or Nick to be too happy about that. It is the thing that excites me the most because I think that the transparency required for on-chain governance is what we need in the future. So,
all right, it's something we've been excited to dive in a little bit. I wish Kareem was here to help us out, but I'm sure this is not the end of the story, Brent.
There's may not
been
be.
Some drama over at Cardano, a project that we've pretty adamantly backed, but at Crypto Basic, we always discuss both sides to the best of our ability. Brent, what is going on?
So unless I'm missing something because of the different spin that it's being put on and because I do have a bias towards liking what Charles has to say and things, this really feels like a good thing that's happening out of a bad decision that they made.
My instinct was the exact same thing, but I felt like it was biased to admit that.
Yeah, no, I that's why I'm saying it is biased. This is one of the coins we feel very strongly about. So do your own research here. But basically, the way Cardano is set up right now, because Cardano is eventually going to be completely decentralized, it's going to have its own DAO. They're working on all of those things, but it's not there yet. It's not ready yet. So they are still in the like kind of peer review phase, and they had set it up as like a federated coin before that. So they distributed their original ADA funds between IOHK, which is Input Output Hong Kong, which is led by Charles Hoskinson, Emergo, which is led by Ken Kadama, and then the Cardano Foundation. And the Cardano Foundation originally had a board of 4 members that consisted of Michael Parsons, his son-in-law, and a third owner that a third person I didn't get the name of, and then the required 4th member of a Swiss citizen that oversees the foundation. So what happened is eventually the son-in-law he resigned and he started working as the CEO of the company, of the foundation. The third person resigned for some dumb reason, and that left only Michael Parsons and the required person that he needed to have on the board. So essentially, he has created the board consisting of 100% himself. And originally, when they created it, it was supposed to go in the other direction. Like they were supposed to be getting more diversity on the board. The way Charles described it, he said that there should have been somebody basically from every major section of the world. There should have been somebody from Japan, China. There should have been somebody from Africa. There should have been somebody from North America. There should have been somebody from South America, like that kind of thing. All working on the board, all working together to try and make Cardano work. Well, apparently the foundation has done like nothing. They didn't even like put out a tweet when Cardano was a year old. So they've basically gotten control of these funds and don't give a shit. And they're going through, they were doing something with some institutional investing platform. But yeah, so there's a link in the show notes to the open letter to the Cardano community and the community at large. But basically, Charles and Ken put out this letter saying, look, here's all his drama. This guy, he's got his son-in-law as the CEO. I think his wife was doing something also. And he's not controlling the foundation right now. We set it up like this so that if something like this happened, we wouldn't be screwed. They have some funds, but they don't have anywhere near all the funds. So what they said is IOHK and Emergo are going to assume all of the responsibilities of the foundation that the foundation is not doing. And they're like, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Like, we can't stop them, but we are going to continue to run Cardano in the way that it's supposed to be run. The Cardano Foundation has absolutely no authority, say, or part of this anymore. And we encourage Parsons to step down so that we can actually create that board the way it's supposed to be. And then I think in the background, they're going to do whatever legal action they need to do against the foundation to try and get the money back. But for now, he said, as far as production is concerned, the roadmap is not going to change. There is nothing else that's going to change as far as the end user is concerned. Nothing was happening with the foundation anyways, so they're just going to keep going forward as if it doesn't exist, and the end user shouldn't actually see any problems. So,
all right. So the one thing that stood out to me as a huge win here, and this is, I alluded to this earlier. Remember when Horizon had their 51% attack and we asked Rob to come on the show and discuss those types of things? And then we realized how much detail went in behind the scenes to make sure that a situation as severe as a 51% attack on the network was well calculated, well executed, and well understood. This situation reminds me a lot of that, in the sense that, there's so much game theory here, and it's very subtle, but I like it. It's, they created a triangle with the understanding that the triangle could, be disrupted at some point. And if there isn't some understandings, there isn't agreements from the other two sides, then they're able to say, okay, well, this is what we expect and this is what we would like. Now it's your time to put up and do those things. If you don't, then you've left us no choice. So after a significant amount of time discussing that behind the scenes, the fact that they were able to say, well, we've did everything we could, but we're just going to start doing his job too. That is understandable. It's good design. And I'm glad that they had considered this already. I don't know. I see this being super annoying for them. And I see this hindering their development, but not as much as most projects would, just because, there is multiple entities here. IOHK has the responsibility of multiple crypto projects, not just Cardano. So in order to stay unbiased towards Cardano, they have to make sure they keep this overall view of what needs to happen. I respect this, and I don't see this as a major loss.
Right. And also, they said they're fully funded. They're not even like only working on 2/3 of the money. They're like, we have all the money we need for everything. We're good. There's nothing that's going to come here. There was some back and forth between the Tezos community and Charles, I guess, because like Tezos had a serious issue with their foundation. Again, we haven't done the research on that, but if I understand it right, they basically like handed all their money to like a person in like the Cayman Islands, and they were just like, fuck you, and took it. So, and they jabbed at Charles. He's like, what are you talking about? We still have all the money, and we thought about this. That's why we have 3 instead of 1. So, I don't know what happens with 2 instead of 1 if IOHK and Emergo start bitching at each other. But for now, I would assume they're probably going to work on some other way to establish a new foundation to create this dynamic again. And fun little fact: there has been an announcement on Binance.
I saw this and I'm so confused. It seems unlike both.
Yeah, it's an announcement of an announcement on Binance. Something is happening with Cardano and their decentralized exchange.
They mentioned decentralized exchange.
Yeah, they mentioned the project. I don't know. It's an announcement.
This is kind of interesting.
It's just it's interesting PR that I think they came out with it for 2 people who are not really big on announcements because of this.
They're both under fire right now. They're both like in the crosshairs.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm excited to see it. I'm so tantalized.
I certainly want Cardano and Binance to make a decentralized exchange like that. I'm going to go right out and say yes.
Yeah.
Can we make that happen?
Let's do it. All right, that's it for that. Maybe we'll do an update on Cardano in the future and talk about all the other things that have changed there. Maybe when they get around to like closer to 2.0 or Shelly or something like that. But that's what we got as far as the drama. And we like that drama.
So the other side of the IOHK coin here, our buddy Anthony from Ethereum Classic dropped by the Discord the other day. I loaded this up. I went out of my way to tell him, man, this is really elegant. It's a very clean website. Things are looking really solid from the ETC perspective. How did you take it?
Yeah, it was cool. He popped this in there and I wanted to share what it was with the listeners. ethereumclassic.org/powered by ETC, but with a dash in between powered and by. And it is obviously link in the show notes. It is just a list of the D apps that are working and functioning on the Ethereum Classic blockchain, because a lot of times people think about them as like they're just what Ethereum used to be, but nobody uses them anymore. Like, no, we have D apps on there. I pulled a few of them out just to talk about them real quick. I just kind of rapid fire it, but there is original it's documents on the blockchain, and also stakeholder voting is what they're moving into. Stampery is a data certification service. Portal Network allows you to change your 0x bloody bloskies into like real names, like easy names, and you can like register them with them, kind of like you could register a website, where a website's name is actually a bunch of address numbers and stuff. DApp Direct, which is it has statistics about all of the other Ethereum Classic smart contracts, such as like if there were the gaming payouts and the participation and stuff like that. You can go check out all the statistics of all those smart contracts. CoinGame is a sports betting platform that you can use, and RateX is a decentralized exchange, and they're also Ethereum decentralized exchange too. So you can go on there and check that out. I only mentioned some of the ones that were complete. There's more that are complete, and there's some that are in between. They have the red, the yellow, and the green. The red is like they're deployed, but they're not working yet, I guess, or something similar. The yellow is like they're functioning, but they're not fully functional. And then the green is fully functional. I'm paraphrasing that. I should have looked at that, but you get the idea.
No, that was totally fine. And what I love about this is that we've talked a lot about, Cardano is a great example. We know that Cardano is not going to be ready for a long time to even like become a full functioning project. Ethereum Classic's been around for a long time. They have a lot of the same ties, community that Ethereum has. They just kind of split the community, and its current like market cap is way lower, but obviously we don't care much about price. I care more about the people, the team, the projects, how secure everything's moving. The fact that they have this many, D apps that they're just like, hey, these are things that we trust. These are part of our network. This is all how we're flowing. I really liked and respect that.
Yeah. And remember, things that you use already today, you don't know when you go to a website, you don't know what language it's written in. You don't know which like server it's resting on. You don't know when you're playing a video game if it's using the Unreal Engine or not, for the most part. I mean, like making functionality and making usable things is what is going to lead to the adoption. And eventually you're not going to know whether the thing that you're using is using Ethereum Classic, or if it's using Ethereum, or if it's using Cardano. You'll only care that it works right.
There may be side chains that help other chains communicate that might not, you might not even know you're using a blockchain in the future.
Yeah. That's the idea. Eventually, hopefully you just don't even know you're using any of this stuff. And that is the future we see. Like using a modem to do things in 1980s, you knew what you were doing. You had to know how the modem worked. You had to know everything about how the printer worked and like everything like that. But today you don't. You just log on and you use the same password 123 for every site, thinking that's cool, and go about your business. And you're allowed to do that because it works. Mass adoption's a thing. So, Mike, I want to talk about the D.
What's super interesting is that this is a story about Vegas, and I don't know what the D is.
You've never been to the D?
What is the D?
Oh my God! So I can't remember the name of the investor, but a while ago, a guy started trying to make downtown cool. In addition to the guy from Zappos.com, right?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I know you've talked to me about the Zappos guy.
Yeah. So this guy bought a couple of the casinos, and one of them, I think it used to be called the
only downtown
the Vegas Club.
I remember is Gold Spike.
Yeah, that's a little bit off strip from downtown, but so the D was I think the first one of these that got revamped. It's right in the middle of Fremont Street, and they revamped it as the D, and it's got all kinds of like sexual imagery, like girls and whatever, like very Vegas-y. But they made it look kind of cool inside. But I think it was called Vegas Club before, or it might have been called the Downtowner or something. I don't remember. It was some shitty casino before. They made it look a little bit cooler inside. Dealers are wearing like trendy stuff. They've got...
Oh, it's a casino. I thought it was like a bar.
No, it's a casino, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it is taking Bitcoin. That's why we're talking about it. They had a big, giant a neon sign out front that said Bitcoin accepted here, so you can go in there and gamble with Bitcoin in some fashion.
I'm so like I've always thought that casinos were an excellent place for mass adoption, but I'm wondering what a random downtown casino's process looks like.
I don't know. I would love to check it out. I do know that
it could be amazing. It could be awful.
Yeah, downtown Vegas is getting like really kind of cool as far as like
that's why I'm leaving that window open. I feel like there's been a lot more like young rich investors that are going there. They're trying to repopularize it. I mean, when we were in our early 20s, downtown was just like unbearable.
Yeah, you would never go there.
Just homeless people and trash and filth, disgust, and over the years they realized that you have all this awesome space and all these tourists. They just want nice things and they want to have fun. So they're, making big progress there.
Yeah, they really gentrified downtown Vegas kind of. And they also did it in such a way there's a lot of startups, there's a lot of co-working space, there's a lot of stuff like that. So that's the kind of clientele that might get involved in crypto.
It's the business like development side of the town, I would imagine.
Yeah. So if I moved to Vegas, I would live there for sure. There's some great places down there. I mean, I don't see myself moving to Vegas anytime soon, but if I did, I would live down there. Also, the D is one of my favorite places to drink in Vegas because they have this. If you go upstairs at the D,
are you playing Pie Gal?
No. They have this ginormous horse racing machine, and it's like an analog horse racing machine.
Oh, I've seen one of these things. It's like it looks like a Matchbox car track.
Yeah,
and it's all metal, and then the horse just rides on like a stick.
Yep. And they're massive.
It looks like the rabbit that runs around a greyhound track, kind of.
Yep. And the horses will you go down, you bet on the horses or whatever.
It's like 5 cents a race, right? Or
25 cents. You put in 25 cents. Start to finish, this whole thing takes like 2.5 minutes or something, 3 minutes, right? And meanwhile, they're serving you free drinks. So you're just like putting a quarter in every now and then, placing your horse. And
you can just bet your friends, right? Like you and I could just bet a 20 on each race.
Yeah. If you wanted, sure. If you didn't want to take the vig, you pick on which. But there's different odds and stuff. Like each horse is like a different.
Oh, there's odds. I thought it was just like an arcade game that you just played.
No. Like the horses race. Like there's.
I thought 50 cents was just a fee.
Nope. There's like 200 to 1.
You get money back.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's great. It's the best way to drink. In like, if you don't need to be like watching TV or like listen to music, 3 or 4 of you can go up there, get on that thing, and then just start like making a bunch of noise and drinking a bunch of beers. And it has to be quarters. You have to literally come with a roll of quarters. There's no like change machine or anything anywhere.
So I'm curious your thoughts here. I feel like casinos are in trouble unless they allow phones to be more allowed.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I know why they don't let phones be allowed, but
no, I agree too.
You can use it at the stupid horse machine.
That's what I was thinking.
That's for damn sure. I've got video of me at that thing.
I'm sure you do. All right, Brent, it's rant time. What happened?
Oh, so I didn't know where else to put this, but that 310 Bitcoin puzzle that we talked about last week or the week before, maybe
it was last week.
Somebody solved it already. There was basically not a whole lot of publicity gained from the person that put it out. And I'm still, the most obvious thing to me is this guy solved his own puzzles because the 310 Bitcoin part was solved before the 0.31 Bitcoin part was solved. So,
all right. So my problem is I think you're probably right. I think there's a part of me that
I have no evidence.
That seems reasonable. But is there any other way this could have played out where this wasn't going to be your opinion?
No,
unfortunately, like this is a situation where because of the evidence, we're able to form an opinion beforehand, and the evidence just probably isn't going to move me off my stance, unfortunately.
Yeah, unless somebody comes out and they start to be like, "Hey, I'm the guy that won the millions of dollars, and it was me, and I had nothing to do with this," and they pay all their taxes and everything. Yeah. Then I might be more willing to think.
But that was your reason for the guy wanted to do it in the first place, right?
Right. I thought he wanted to give it to himself so that he didn't have to. So it was a money laundering operation thing, whatever.
Maybe he's paying it to himself so that he can pay taxes on it, so that he can legalize it.
Maybe, or maybe he's paying it to himself just to get publicity for whatever his website is. I don't know. But what I do know is that it makes more sense that somebody would give 310 Bitcoin to themselves than anybody else. I don't know. Think about that. If you wanted to give money away, like let's imagine that we're millionaires and we wanted to give away $2 million. would we give it away to like our friends and family first, or do we hate them all? Like, how many different?
He's already done that, man.
I don't know.
All right, so there's two thoughts here. One, the money did come from an account into the smart contract that had a ton of Bitcoin in it. So you can either, obviously, you could, work in cahoots with somebody that has a lot of Bitcoin and theoretically, but like, what is the gain? Like, that's so much Bitcoin to risk with no upside.
Exactly. Like, there's no gain either. There's no gain in the direction of actually giving it away.
Unless you're easily amused and you're a rich motherfucker and you just want to make the puppets dance. That is a possible. I'm leaving a small percentage chance.
I know a lot of rich people. They do not give away. I don't know. It is significantly more likely that they did not give away 310 Bitcoin than it is. If this was 3 Bitcoin, I think they would have gotten more publicity and gotten.
Here's my thoughts though. There was 4 prizes. Did it go to all of his family members? Did it go to?
No, the other ones were all tiny. He got 0.1.
What do you mean tiny? It was like 0.6
comparatively.
Bitcoin. It's like several $1,000s.
Yeah, but compared to 310, it's fucking nothing. Like I said, if he had given away
nothing though, now if your argument is that everybody that won it was like a family,
not everybody. I think those were legitimate. I think the 0.31, the 0.1. And the other one were legit. I think that they actually gave those away so that it legitimized the big giveaway. And that makes the most sense to me.
But I don't know what the answer is.
We have no evidence either way. It's just which of the two is more likely. And I think that the more likely scenario is it was fake. That's it. That's that rant. I don't know why that was before crypto around the world. We should have done the other direction. But hey, you know what it's time for? It's time for crypto around the world.
All right. So I found something. I found something on Reddit that I found particularly interesting. There was no location mentioned, so I just thought it was kind of an off topic, but I thought crypto around the world was the best place for it. So, a business owner who accepts crypto in exchange for their goods, basically put a lengthy reality check out for the people to read. And he owns a business and it's accepted Bitcoin since 2017. So I'm assuming probably about a year and a half, it's been accepted. He said he's only made one transaction during that entire time. And the time at which the person made that transaction was during the fee crisis that we experienced, where the fees, were $20 to $50 just for moving.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It was during that. And he said the buyer was willing to pay the fees. So interestingly enough, a $20 fee in December is probably only about a $2 fee now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said the person that purchased it was willing to pay that fee for him. So he got lucky in that sense. The purchase was for over $2,000. And he said he is thankful and he could see a future for Bitcoin where he could accept it for larger purchases, because a credit card transaction for $2,000, he would have to pay $56 out of pocket to make that happen. So he's losing $56 on a credit card transaction of $2,000. Honestly, it's a great use case for a small business. And one other thing that he mentioned is that when he uses Bitcoin, he has access to his money as quickly as he can either put it into fiat or send it to somebody else. He says with the credit cards, if somebody makes a transaction on Friday, he may not get the money until Monday or Tuesday of the following week. So, obviously all businesses have different needs. I'm curious, Brent, what do you think his business was?
Oh, did he say?
Yes.
Oh, art.
Not a bad guess. He owns a gun store.
Oh, so this is not around the world. This is America. You don't just get random people owning guns around the world. This is America, man.
All right. Now, there's definitely a portion of the population that is pro Bitcoin and pro gun. But that population's pretty slim, in my opinion.
I disagree. No way.
I think that there's not the people that want to buy guns are people that have fiat dollars like stashed in mattresses and stuff. Like, I don't see I don't see Bitcoin being huge in the gun market personally, unless it's like international and like illegal shit. But
here's the thing: crypto is a libertarian kind of ideal at its core. Like if you're going to assign Bitcoin a political party, that's what it's going to be. And the libertarian political party is very, they're cool with guns. They're like, own guns if you want, that's fine. Like, they're about like just kind of freedom all around. They're like, own gun. They're the meeting between like, if you're talking about Republicans, they're like, yeah, guns, but we hate gays. Or like liberals, we hate guns, but we love gays. Like they're the middle. They're like, we love them both. It's fine. So I own a gun. And I know that the rest of the world sees the United States and they think that we're all walking around with guns on our hips. But
there's California, there's San Francisco, there's Switzerland, there's Japan. There's a lot of these crypto places to me that are becoming crypto places are just not places with guns, in my opinion. Or
you can own a gun in Japan.
What's that?
You can own a gun in Japan.
There's a lot of places you can own guns, but I just feel like the gun culture is totally different.
It's very different in the United States because
you're much more internationally traveled than me, so I will say that up front.
Yeah, and I like I said, the biggest misconception I think that people have about Americans is like, you just walk around and everybody's got a gun strapped to their shoulder and they're wearing a cowboy hat, or they're to their side and they're wearing a cowboy hat. Like, because the statistics are crazy.
Of Americans.
Yeah, the statistics are huge. Like, they're like, oh, well, this many people own guns and there's only this many Americans. So like, it's more than one gun per person. Yeah, but like there are plenty of people that own 30
Hundreds
guns, 40 guns, 50 guns. Yes. They have kind of ingrained it into the culture and it's like a point of pride, and there's all these different kinds of guns. It's gone well beyond the personal protection or protection from the government thing that it is supposed to be. Uses. Yes. So
these are not people that want to shoot a raccoon or a dangerous animal. These are not people that feel the need to physically protect themselves. These are people that are like gun hobbyist collectors, and it's just part of their culture that they want to have these.
And that doesn't make them any more or less dangerous than any random person that owns a gun. It just means that that's what they collect instead of like stamps or coins or poker chips or whatever. That's like they like pulling a gun out, cleaning it, and doing their thing. So yep, there's definitely I had to disagree with the fact that there isn't a marriage between Bitcoin holders and being, I don't want to say pro gun, but just like that guns are okay, like they're not actively trying to get them banned. And if we're talking about personal political ideals, I think it's way too easy to get a gun or sell a gun. All you have to do in Florida, in the U.S., the laws different in every state, but here all I have to do is make sure you're 18 and that you don't look crazy, and that's it. I can sell you a gun for cash and just get a bill of sale. Nothing, no waiting period, no nothing. So it's definitely interesting that the laws should be, it should be at least as difficult to get a gun as it is to get a license for a gun as it is to get a license for a car, for instance.
I also got my medical marijuana permit, and I'm not allowed to have a concealed gun permit with that license.
Because you're more likely to shoot somebody when you're chilling the fuck out? Like, what?
I have my Florida medical marijuana registration, and one of the only things is you just cannot own a concealed weapon now.
Wow, that's awkward. So it's such a weird way to attack it.
But you can go get drunk at a bar and drive home with a gun in your car, no problem.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of concessions that have to be made for legalized marijuana in our country, especially because like there's going to be just these old crotchety fucks who are like, well, what are we going to do when everybody's high, run around with their guns? All right, fine. They don't have to have guns. It's fine. We don't like guns anyways.
Honestly, that was my interpretation. I don't have a gun. I'm not particularly pro gun. I just kind of was like, I mean, this doesn't really affect my life, but this is really stupid.
Yeah. All right. We how did we get into talking about guns in Florida
politics? It's the end
politics?
of the episode. Anything goes.
Yeah. Did we grab anything from the mailbag? Probably not, right?
I haven't checked it.
I didn't even look. Hey, if you had a mailbag question, sorry, we didn't get to it. We left it blank. We normally put stuff in there. I'm sure there is mailbag questions that we didn't that we didn't get out there. So Yeah, that's it.
That's going to do it for today's edition of the Crypto Basic Podcast, Friday flagship. Brent, any closing words?
My closing words are: the members of the Crypto Basic Podcast are not financial advisors. They are idiots. Please do your own research. All investments have inherent risk.
Give us a rating on iTunes, join our Discord, like us on YouTube, buy a ledger, please.
And do that. That's sweet.